Now, from that, what Vladimir was telling about, the samjnana, it is basically that we don't know anything at all. Because most of that, what is going on in us and around us, is not known. We know that I hold a violin, but that what we were talking about, that how do we know things that really matter for that what we do. So many times I tell the students, feel this and feel that. So feel this line or feel that line. Then I discover that it takes them 10 years to feel it. Yeah, but why? Why? I am so clear in that what I say. But the thing is that no one goes really into the feeling to see what it is. And even when you start feeling what it is, you don't know what it is. You don't know the connections, all this vijnana aspect of consciousness. You have no idea. No one has an idea, in fact. So to express oneself through music becomes endeavor, yeah? Mm-hmm. Because, yeah.
You say vijnana, it's exactly about vijnana, the relation. It's not about feeling. They feel the thing, but they don't feel it the way it should be felt. In relation to the string, to the instrument, to themselves, to music, to everything else.
Well, but we don't even know how it should be that we should feel.
Well, somehow you have a sense of it.
Yeah, we have a sense of it. I mean, we can give kind of mental statements. Okay, for example, one of the aspects of consciousness is the I. So okay, fine. Since the beginning, we have talked about obelisks and about these kind of structures that were leading man's consciousness upwards. Yes. And this is what were Mother's words towards the end, and all the time, give yourself constantly, offer yourself to that higher consciousness which is there. When Sri Aurobindo spoke about being concentrated above your mind, then he meant it. And here is one thing, I can read it to you, what Mother's testimony, what she was talking about. And I hope I find it. Yeah, it's not coming. Wait, please.
You just touched it.
No, but No, there is another thing. Could you help me? I just need to get out of this and go back to the key, to this one.
You just put it down.
Yeah. Now, before I read it...
Don't close it, just put it down.
Now, naturally, what we need, it is a perfection. It's a perfection of the instruments. We cannot just sit there and then listen to something above and having done no work with the body and expect the body then to play violin. It just won't happen. But on the other side, even if we have found out how to play our trills 100 km per second speed, and when we have perfected our instrument, it doesn't mean that the right thing will be expressed, or the thing that at the end wants to express itself. But even that we don't know what it will be. So for me it is like if presence, an unknown presence from within would be able to take over that what you are doing. And this presence develops while doing that, while being engaged in work, while being engaged in the perfection of these instruments, perfection of the body, perfection of your feelings, perfection of your mind, and perfection of your psyche, or of your vitality. Now what does that all mean?
Here you can select your,
yeah.
select your slide here.
So we go this time. I would like to go through this perfection of each of these instruments and what it means in regards to something like playing music. Now, Sri Aurobindo says the body is not only the necessary outer instrument of the physical part of action, but for the purposes of this life, a base or pedestal also for all inner action. So, because I don't know this stuff, and because these inner powers and inner forces don't light up just by themselves, this work on the instrument provokes that I have to use them. For example, if I start to play, if a student starts to play, we know how it sounds. So there is something wrong, and there is something wrong with the direction. Okay, fine. There is something wrong with the pressure. There is something wrong. We have dealt with these things when we were speaking about the senses. So each of the directions is in the eye. So the direction must be set straight and the body must be capable to hold it. This is also one of the perfections of the body. Yeah. I think I checked the wrong one. There is just on your computer it looks. It is the capacity of holding. The capacity of holding things. Now it is not that the body will hold something that it wants to hold, but it will hold something that the mind holds. I have to tell to the body, you have to hold, for example, to give pressure, you have to hold the thumb and the middle finger perpendicular to this stick, and then I can control the pressure. I can put in or take out pressure. This means that I can operate this lower arm to get out of the pressure or inside of the pressure. So then my pressure will be controlled because the pressure from here to here changes considerably, and if I want to keep it up, to hold it, it is then that the body is not holding anymore something of mind, but something of the feeling. Because the pressure doesn't respond, it's not a mind thing. It can be interpreted as such in mind, but it is a thing of the feeling. As well as the speed. If I play something, you can hear that I'm very much there concentrated on something. So there is an intimacy which is there expressed between that what I'm seeing or relating to and between myself. So this is the capacity of holding all those things and all those forces that come in from other realms than itself. Now, the body, says Sri Aurobindo, must be taught an entire passivity in the hands of the higher instruments, which will be higher instruments, which will be the vital, which will be the mind, which will be the psyche. So when I feel love, then it must be passive in order to accommodate this love, whatever that means. It will translate the thing into its own substance. Now, this greatness of sustaining force. Now, these forces can be quite something that come down, and on our level, experiential level, they might be not as, I mean, if we feel anger, they might seem like something, you know, these forces, but we can't really hold it because the anger will then do with the body what it wants to, and most of our emotions will do. But because on the instruments we are not responding to forces or to outer things, except if we become angry that something doesn't work and we throw the partition on the wall. This happened in the first stages when we didn't control the vital. And the vital will be another perfection that we have to envisage. But so this kind of forces that rush in, it has to accommodate this one, and by this it gets this greatness. But not only, it gets its greatness also by becoming one. Because I have to concentrate the whole being inside of that small thing here that I touch. So there will be the vision, there will be the hearing, which will be then revealing that what I saw. If I see it here, for example, I see, for example, this line, this direction, vertical direction, to which then I observe and I give myself to that. Until I can go on. This very precise moment and here it comes again. So I'm constantly behind there, behind this scene, and behind myself giving to it, and the whole body starts becoming one. And by that oneness, it starts gaining greatness, because all the parts of the body, they are united in that one vision, because all accommodates to that. Then strength abounding to outgoing and managing force. Naturally, I have to have a strength to give myself to that. And I have to, in the beginning, even when you start, it is not easy. It is not easy to play. There are many things, there are many nervous energies also. And this strength to quiet the whole thing down, it takes quite some time. This strength to hold something also. That you really can hold it over an hour when you play, and constantly be constant to that holding. Now, lightness, swiftness, and adaptability of the nervous and physical being. There is what I was talking about. There is this substance which just becomes nervous, especially in front of an audience. When you are at home, then it's fine, everything is fine. But you meet situations where it is not like that. And then, when things come which are unusual, which you are not prepared for, then it must have this adaptability to the new situations. Now this has also to do with the intuition, with the body's intuition you see, basically when you study, then you study a piece and you study according to your mind and according to some ethical or to some aesthetic, to some aesthetic rules. And then you go home and your teacher tells you have to do this and that, and then you do it, and basically you are in a cage. because you have to mold it according to those ideas. This proposition of the senses, that you go behind the senses and you say, okay, we have talked about it, but many were not here, so you might not understand. I will repeat it shortly. The sense of the eyes, I have told you, so how I can hold it. The sense of touch is the discerning faculty. It's the discernment, if it is that, what I hold, that what the eyes want to see, or not. The hearing will reveal that to me, but it will not reveal only that to me. It will reveal to me many other things, psychological things, things from the intuitive mind, things from the intuition, which make me do the things in another way. Now, to this kind of intuitive mind and intuitive inrushes, the whole thing must be capable to adapt itself and to say, okay, fine, I will do that. And this needs a certain courage, because the musicians are basically trapped in mind visions and mind views and how to do things. No, a hamburger is a hamburger. So, and it is a reality. So you are forced by articles in the newspaper to play in a certain way that all the musicians have this difficulty, that they are forced by that to do it in a certain way. Now the intuitive, intuition is no more free. Why? When you have this, for example, I have been playing a concert and one listener was there who was also a musician, and he came from Switzerland. And he told me, but how you play this piece so Indian? I said, excuse me, but what do you mean by Indian? You heard Bach, this was Bach, and this is very Western. Now, Western, it means that, okay, you have a certain tempo, you have to be, and you have to do it in a certain tempo, otherwise... Standard, exactly. So. Then there must be this emotion, emotions must be there, so. Then there is the I. I must be there, I must be good, I must be strong, and I must be this and that, and this and that. And all these are constraints on your expression, which just make polpeta, you know. Yeah, which just make out of you a hamburger. Yeah, because it squeezes you. It doesn't give any more, you are trapped in a kind of way of doing things.
So Indian means relaxed and non-standardized.
It may be.
Then how did you play? Let us hear that. The difference, what you did.
You just go to YouTube, you know.
Oh.
Now, I don't, you know, the approach is different, because if I go through the senses, I mentioned 3 now. The 4th one, that you go to see the flow of the thing, which we all are of flesh and blood, and even in the musicians whom I don't accuse them to be trapped. I was trapped, and I know how it feels, and it feels awful. Because you have to do something that you don't understand what it is. And you can give yourself, if there was not your personality that says, no, be strong, and be this one, and be that one, then you maybe go to a psychiatrist and get some backup, no? No, then this proposal to engage your consciousness at the service of something you don't know. For that you need courage, you know, to get out of that thing. And okay, I don't want.
What you see as a trap can also be a certain boundary lines in which you can be very creative. A tennis player plays within boundaries, but you see one tennis player absolutely wonderful, the other is absolutely lousy.
You know, the thing is here different, because I don't see music as such. basically this is not music what I will play. I will be not interested in music. In fact, I say I'm not a musician, you know. I'm interested in that consciousness which flows through and which discovers in myself and through this work itself. So I don't know. I don't know until I have spent million years on earth that finally it has discovered itself through me and I know what it will be. But now I don't know. I have no idea. In fact, when I take up my violin in the morning, I don't even know how to play it. I have no idea if it will work or not. So the discovery starts with the very first thing that I take it here and I'm basically nothing, zero, I don't know. Now, to go on with this, because there is little time, so the flow which I was telling, we were speaking about the senses. One thing is that the sense, we have touched it also with Vladimir, the touch that the flow is that of the organ of taste. So if I want to taste something, I need the time, the necessary time to taste it. Once I have tasted it, I know what it is, and I can go on. I can go developing from there to the next taste. Then what Vladimir called the smell, in this, what he was not mentioning, actually, because it was taste and smell which we were lacking. And the smell is that which is responsible for the pressure. Now, the pressure for us in our emotions is something very important, because that is regulating our expression. Not true? So, if I have it and I start looking at it from this point of view, I will get to know, because Sri Aurobindo says that this work on the body is not only work on the body, but on all other parts of yourself. That's what he says. Base or pedestal also for all inner action. So inner action of this inner instruments, which are not material. Then naturally, when you think of it, we need to perfect by this doing, we need to perfect our emotions. And for me, the most, well, let's see what he says. Fullness of vital capacity in mind, take possession of all impulsions and energies given to our inner psychic life for fulfillment. Hold them and carry them out with strength, freedom and perfection, courage, willpower effective in life, depend on the psychic prana. So, if I want to do something with the body, I need to have this willpower to go ahead. I don't need to be encouraged. I don't want to be discouraged by every break. Now, you know, when you learn such a difficult instrument or any instrument, you are like a cockroach coming out of the glass. You know, you just step by step and you fall down, and again step by step and you fall down. And this falling down is a constant experience.
Not very beautiful image.
No, okay, maybe the cockroach, not you choose your animals.
But what is interesting is that you're dealing with all the elements which are kind of going beyond these four major, Samjnana, Jnana, Vijnana, Prajnana. But in the Aitareya Upanishad, it strikes me, there is the whole list of faculties which is following these four, about which Aurobindo doesn't speak for some reason. Maybe he didn't have time to really examine all of them. But that's exactly there. Willpower, there is pressure, there is speed, swiftness. All these faculties are following these major four. Without these other ones, these major four would not be manifested somehow. And it's kind of interesting that you are kind of intuitively already dealing with them, naming them, finding them, looking for them, what they could be, what you need for functionality to take place. And it kind of puts me into this position to come to those other faculties and to examine them all, because they may be the answer to what you are looking for, truly speaking. You already defined at least 5 of them or 6 of them already in your approach, without knowing that such text exists. It's kind of interesting.
Now, there is this gladness. This is beautiful. You know, the gladness. I mean, you're just taking it and you don't know what it is, and you are just glad to have it in your hand. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Then this is what makes you choose an instrument. You see, you fall in love, and you say, "Wow, this is something." Huh?
I think you're talking about the psychic verities, you know? Joy,
Yeah.
you know, perseverance,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
courage.
Yeah. And the thing is that once you start gliding down on every difficulty, then something else comes out, you know? A kind of standing being that accepts the situation and that just says, okay, fine. And then it goes on and on and on and on. And then it starts discovering kind of silence within itself, which becomes the birthplace of all movement, and the kind of stability that you say, and what? This is what is given to me, perfect. The perfect impossibility at the right moment. Because it is, you know, this impossibility presented in such a specific way as the now. It's not of yesterday, and it's not of tomorrow, and it's not of forever. It is the bearer of all these realizations. And you don't know it. You are like a stubborn mule, you know, you just go through the mountain. No? I don't know if you know Jodorowsky. And Jodorowsky has done a film, and it is called The Holy Mountain. The Holy Mountain. And there was a man, and he says, I am very strong. I don't know, yeah, show me the way up to the mountain. I don't know how to go up. I can go through. So, this is how we look like when we start an instrument. I will go through the mountain. You don't know where it leads, but... So, now up to the mountain. So, this gladness, clearness, and purity. And it is something fascinating. Just look all the houses where music is being played. Suddenly you have the feeling, I want to sit down, and I feel so good. That guy is practicing, doing all his mistakes, but it makes you feel so at home. As if someone really is doing something real. Accept with active and passive equality whatever command come into it from the spirit through the channels of a still mind and pure heart. Yeah, this is another difficulty that we have. It is a still mind. So whenever something touches you, then no, it is this one, no, it is that one. Then this kind of mind, which is repeating what it has said also before, and its notions, and there is something horrible in us, you know. And it is that we are moral. Our morality is the most disastrous thing besides our thoughts. No, you should not do it like this. No. No, this is not right. You know, this is not right. And always with a finger. And you see these fingers all over in the world. Yeah,
You see many fingers.
But the thing is that this is ingrained in us, you know. We are afraid. We are put into this kind of thing. No, not like this. And we become that finger, you know. Not like this. Why does Sri Aurobindo then say accept with active and passive equality? Now, this active and passive equality in doing music It can be that you just play like no good, nothing. And why not? Why shall I play? To what kind of satisfaction? Maybe the moment has come that you really are bad, a bad performer. By whom to judge? Do you play for whom? Then comes the next question. For whom do you play at all? Do you play for the truth of the thing, or do you play to satisfy the thirst of those who are listening? Oh, but these guys have paid, you know. So you have to perform, you have to give them something that they can say, okay, money well spent. No, I am sorry. No. And this whole damn thing, it is all this thing up there. Huh? Now, how to become equal-minded in all that? And what has equality to do with music? And, you know, I was reading through these chapters on equality. There are 3 in the synthesis of yoga. And you know, you just start crying after, because you say, but I have missed everything. Because that I have not done everything possible to become equal. Because that is the only door to intuition, to an intuitive mind, and to something that you can say, yes, this is it. And it is not you. It is something where you speak for everyone. It is not something that you do it for yourself, because you have come up with something great, and that you become so super, you know, to have all your students around and being adored and all that. All that bullshit, sorry. Sorry to say it like that. It's not that. We are, if I have understood right what we are doing here, then it is going another direction than that one. We have had it already. Because finally each individual being has to realize that, has to open up through that to that intuition. And if you then participate in something great that is happening, that touches you, then the one in front is speaking inside of your heart, and there is no more difference between you and that guy. And this is what we want, if I have understood right. If not, excuse me, then I am in the wrong place.
You're completely wrong. Listen, I spent the day yesterday in a seminar at Sunday University, and everyone there was doing all of those things which you say are bullshit. And not only doing it a little bit, doing it with their absolute full-on willpower. And I was the only one out of about, 50 speakers who didn't use a paper. You know, I was just speaking. But all of these people were reading their papers with force and as fast as they could do it, you know, because they want to please the chairman of the department or something. It was the most extreme example of what you were saying that I have ever seen. But they're just now learning how to do that, you know. In the West, we've been doing it for, 150 years or whatever.
So,
according to them, you would make no sense.
No, that's why I am not welcome. I am not even welcome because when I have to give, the other thing which is this equanimity is one thing. The other thing, but we have to all to learn. There is not one among us that has had it, that has it perfectly. If it would be like that, then we would have already arrived, And even our luminous presence of those who have realized it would have infected you. It's not like that. We are all in the same boat. So that's one thing. The other thing is to listen. To listen finally to this, what we were talking about, the Shruti, what next? What is it that, what do you want me to do? No idea. What do you want me to be? No idea. Once you have established idea, this is, I will become that, I will become that, then it's over, then it's finished, then it is in your hands. And even then, it is working, intuition. And even then, everything is just around you. to support that moment when suddenly you say, okay, fine, I give up. And if mother was speaking like this, and I hope I find the tapes, you know, it is just so, her own body, you know, speaking. Tell me what to be, tell me what to do, I don't know. And this was the only thing. So we are still here. So this equality, an instrument of music is just something fantastic, because you have like a kind of laboratory of inner life, of this life where this intuitive consciousness is pinpointing you and saying, look, this one you need now, not later, this one you need now, and it points always. That's why our experience is perfect. With the mistakes and with everything. At that very moment it is perfect, more perfect than anything. So perfect as matter is when it falls down. It is exactly that. And just to learn how to look into it with the inner eyes, and how to listen into it with ears that go for that voice of that intuitive mind. This is an instrument. It makes things so easier to understand in this way, because there are no more words. Everything that you can cover with your lexicon and everything becomes simple, because there is only one. This pointing, you know, it is just one voice, and it points to something that you can follow, not something that you can't follow. If I speak to you about equality, if I speak to myself about equality, I don't know how to follow it. I don't know how to take myself there and start practicing it. What does that mean at all? Does it make sense? So, then there is this chitta, which is, you see, you have a different system, and it just makes everything else around. Anyway, this is that feeling we have when we hear things, when things enter inside of us. And on the outside, it is our emotionality. On the inside, it is the psychic. Now, how do we recognize all that? What is emotion and what is the true thing? And to that also, Mother had what I was reading. It was just, it is only love, and love is the only for everything. Love for everything, and everyone, and everything, and all, whatever happens, it's only love. And she said that she had this experience, and then she said, no, I felt myself as if I was a fool, because I would smile at everything. And she said, then the people, they would really think that I am stupid or what. Because this one was also that when you touch things, then you touch them with love, something goes on. When it touches you, it is always love, whatever it is. And this one brings us to solutions of problems. Because if you do it with love, then you don't exclude anymore nothing that comes. You invite all that might come through intuition of the body, or intuition of your psyche, intuition of your mind. That it feels.
That makes it easier.
So, and this faith to be true to you without having to satisfy anyone anymore. The faith to say when this intuition comes and tells you no, say no in the most opportune moment. How do you want to distinguish? Andrei was proposed, my son was proposed $1 million to accompany him to Singapore. He has only to be there, it was said. $1 million. But intuition said no. It is not, never accept things like that. Anyway, then the other ones was Somya, and which is sweetness, and Tejas, which is strength. And this one you have to unite in the very single moment. So how does it do? Now the sweetness is a kind of approach to the thing, and Tejas for me, in musical terms, it is the affirmation of self. Because the self is so strong and so true in itself that it needs an affirmation in that world, even physical affirmation. That's why to all those forces that don't want you to be there, God has given you always that place that you have under your feet. And this is Tejas. This is for me that fire, that burning fire of a man. You can't take him out of existence. He's there. And this is imperative. There is nothing that can stop this being from being. So I believe that in the psyche it translates itself, when the psyche is speaking, then it translates itself with that you hear it really standing. There is another thing that usually what violinists do. They play only vital, they play only emotion. So they don't play this, what I was talking about. So I included in this kind of technique that you have to affirm even the physical being in a definite line of in the sound, that it is readable. And this one is not being done, neither in the Indian music, nor is it done in the Western music. This aspect. It might be that there is sweetness, but this aspect I have very rarely heard. In that example that we were hearing of foot cleaners, there it was much more. And there are pianists, not so much violinists, but there are pianists who developed it quite to a certain extent. And Glenn Gould, when he played, he reminded me that he wanted to, by force get it. So he would clench his teeth and ding, 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 da-da-dum, ding, dong, ding. And he was completely driven by that. This is my opinion, it might have been not like that. So, we come to an end.
There's a line in Savitri where Sri Aurobindo is describing the quality of this consciousness that is the Tejas Shakti. And in Lakshmi Tantra, Tejas is the name of one of the Shaktis of Lakshmi. And in Savitri, it's described as an absolutism of sweet, imperious will, illimitable and indomitable. This is that force of being present with the energy that's equal to the thing to be done. And then there's another line in Savitri that came to mind when you were describing your attitude. I mean the loving attitude. There's a line which describes Savitri as the very room and smile of the very room and smile of musing space.
Yeah, I was thinking of that. Because
So if you put together these two things, though, you know, this status and this joy, this smile, the sweetness, the sukham, hasyam, or whatever it is, and then you get this attitude that you're talking about.
Yeah, I feel it very important. I feel this one of the most important things, which points to that what our expression should be in music. And if musicians are really speaking about harmony, and they are not the first ones to want to realize that, then they must become the first ones.
Well,
Yeah, because you see, you can talk like this, we can talk, but if there is a third one talking at the same time, then it becomes a mess. Now, imagine we become 3 playing together, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, infinity is the same. And it is possible, it is feasible, but we don't understand the same thing that we say. And this is, in terms of expression, of the musical expression, then you have this school, that school, this school, that school, that school. Come on. Didn't we arrive at a kind of understanding, universal understanding of what musical expression should be? No, we did not yet. But I believe that we will definitely arrive at that. I cannot see any other possibility. 2 minutes I leave you then. There is, okay. There is then the mind at the end, where the faculties of the mind, and it is again something difficult to get. So purity. We need to control our thoughts when we practice something like this, and just this idea of the 5 senses being there, it needs a pure idea. Now do it. The idea is clear. You go to see if you can. This is ajnana. If this seeing, if you can incorporate it into hearing, if you can hear what you see inwardly, if I erect in the sound this polarity between that space, which means here up infinity, and between that space, which is linking the whole instrument together with myself, with the earth and everything, all the stars and everything that you want. So actually it becomes something feasible. How do I do that? And this is ajnana, this kind of knowledge where I see, okay, how do I do that practically? How do I do it emotionally? How do I do it in my mind? How do I do it? And you can just go on. It becomes like a kind of meditation for you. Clear radiance. So naturally this idea which you will have, which bears this clarity, this purity in itself, will become in all its aspects visible. This kind of pure, essential idea will become in all its aspects visible and audible. You will be able to hear it all the time. Rich and flexible variety, because it has not only that meaning of the mind and of this, but it has so many meanings which you can then read. If you want, you can just write a book about it, about all these different aspects. And integral capacity, which is then Vijnana, which we'll continue to talk about when Vladimir does his next session.
And your next session is next Saturday again?
Yeah, I think so. We'll talk about it now. So, I'm very happy that I didn't bore you. I hope so. It's a bit difficult to talk about music it is much more difficult to talk about music with musicians. So at least, thank you for your being here.